Hi, everyone. This is Racquel Keller, and I am happy to be here to do a little fireside chat with Kathy Daywalt. And how I know her is from the Visionary Women exhibition that is currently safely secured at the Columbia Art Center. So we're trying to find a creative way to let you know about the artists that are in the show. So welcome, Kathy.
Hello. How are you today?
It is great to have you here.
Thank you.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Well, I think I've been an artist my whole life. I have been, from the time I made paper dolls as a child, through my life as a mother and wife, and always trying to find ways to make art. My art's been through many iterations, and currently I'm working with watercolor on Yupo. It's really challenging, but also kind of forgiving, which I love about it. I can take a painting that I hate and put it in the tub and wash all the paint off and still have a nice clean piece of paper. But fortunately, as I've gotten better at it, I have fewer instances of that. I love painting figurative work, although I do other things. I do florals and landscapes from time to time, still life, but I seem to always find figures. A lot of times because of the way I work in a very intuitive, reactive way. And I start with a piece of paper that has paint on it with no particular plan. And then it speaks to me and I speak back to it, and we kind of bounce back and forth between each other in a conversation, and it results in what usually ends up being a figure.
Mm-hmm. Do you talk to yourself in the studio? Do you talk to your paintings?
Well, in a physical way, I talk to them.
I actually audibly talk to mine. That's I was just like, I'm just like, am I the only person? And so I actually will be like, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? And then I'll go, oh, there you are.
Yeah, I'm usually singing along with some loud music, so.
So let me ask you, so you were saying that your practice has changed a little bit. Like how has it evolved?
Well, I think I started off with watercolor many years ago when my son was a baby and I needed to get out of the house. I started taking watercolor lessons, and I hadn't had any formal training before that other than like classes as a teenager at the Y and that kind of thing. So I took these watercolor lessons, and I fell into the lap of a wonderful teacher, Pat Barnes, who really encouraged me to keep going and saw value in what I was doing. And it was easy to soak up everything that she was talking about. It spoke to me. She spoke to me. And so I did watercolor for a number of years. And I started adding collage elements to my watercolors. And then I started adding gold leafing to my watercolors. And then I started gold leafing the whole surface before I painted on it. And so I morphed kind of into these, from learning technical skills to finding a voice. And I found a voice in abstraction, and I was making these low relief abstract constructions, I would call them. Not really sculpture, but constructions of cut and torn paper boards that I would gold leaf and paint on. And I did that for a long time. And then my husband became ill and had a 10-month illness before he passed away.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that was tough. But I couldn't do that anymore. I just couldn't get in my head to do that anymore. But at the time I was doing that, I had been making little block print cards. Starting with I did a Christmas card that way one year, and then I started making more of those. And after my husband passed away, I fell into 8 years of obsessively making block prints. I taught myself how to make reduction block prints. I did that for 8 years.
Wow.
And then somebody handed me a piece of Yupo, and I got my watercolors out, and color came back into my life in a big way. And so that's kind of what brought me to these past 10 years or so of working with watercolor on Yupo. I also do a little work with acrylic from time to time on canvas and boards, and in a more oil painterly way.
Mm-hmm.
But I just love watercolor on Yupo. It just never ceases to thrill me. So
Yeah, the stuff that I've seen on Yupo, like I haven't quite gotten a handle on Yupo. I tried it what seems like 1,000 years ago, and I was just like, ooh, I don't don't know what that is. And so I put it away, and so I'm hoping like at some point it's like a book that you're just not ready to read. You know, that like, okay, maybe now I'm a little bit, more willing, but
my idea,
Go ahead.
my idea, if you want to try Yupo, is to why invent the wheel? To find somebody whose work you like and ask them how they do it, because there's some hints to controlling it that are quite simple. Once you learn.
What are your top 3 hints?
Well, one of my top 3 hints is you have to work with your paint a little more thick.
Okay.
And the other hint that I love is you don't have to save whites like you do with watercolor on paper. You can always lift the white off where you want it.
Interesting. Uh-huh.
And let's see, what's my one of the things that I use, I bring my printmaking forward and end up making stamps that I can use in the wet paint. And this gives me beautiful texture pattern. So I've been making stamps out of a bunch of different material. Plus there are things you find. Corrugated cardboard makes a beautiful mark in wet watercolor on Yupo. So
yeah, I have stashes of cardboard and textured paper that like I've kept, like I've got, like it's over like with my canvases. Like I have this stuff that is this really lovely white paper that's you could really see it very easily being made into some sort of like Queen Elizabeth collar. Do you know?
Oh,
and I'm
yeah.
like, I'm like, ooh. Do people think you're crazy when you're like, oh, could I take that piece of paper?
No, they don't. My favorite thing is a little, so I went to get a pedicure one time and I forgot my flip-flops, and they gave me these little thin flip-flops, and on the bottom there was a grid pattern. And when I'm teaching a workshop or a class, and I show people that, and I say, this is from a flip-flop that I got at the pedicure place. And they just, I think it opens your eyes to keep your eyes open.
Yeah. Well, you saying that has actually made me think, like, how sometimes they have the really thin ones. Do
yes,
you know
that's what this is.
Like you could really cut out like shapes and use the other side. Do you know what I mean? Like like as a smooth. Oh, that's genius.
Yeah. It's really. It just takes an experimental nature, I think, to figure out things. And I do have an experimental nature. So.
Yeah. All right. So, do you have any work to show us? Is this your work behind you? It's beautiful.
A few pieces. They're those that you're seeing are all 18 by 24, so they're fairly large.
And are they on Yupo?
They're all watercolor on Yupo.
Wow.
So, and the 2 pieces that I have at the Columbia Art Center in the Visionary Women Show are pretty special in my book. So I hope some people get to see them.
Yeah, I never even got to see the show because I was working the day that and so I've only seen it in the shots, like, and so I'm hoping that at some point I get in there and see what everybody's done, because I think that's half the fun of being in a show.
Well, the whole show is really outstanding. There's so many outstanding artists in our area. We have this rich art community. It's wonderful to be part of. So
yeah, and they are always so active, like Liz and them, in just making it like a special event. And I'm always amazed by how many people come out to the openings. So
they always have a nice crowd, a nice spread, and a cheerful group. Liz and Trudy they're so supportive. They're always so supportive. I so appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, why don't you tell everyone where we can find you?
Well, you can find me at a number of places. My website is kathydaywalt.com.
And you want to spell that out for
K-
people?
Sure. KATHYDAYWALT.com.
Excellent.
I have work at Main Street Gallery in Annapolis when they're open, and Gallery C in Raleigh, North Carolina when they're open, and Benfield Gallery in Severna Park when they're open.
Nice. Do you have like are you on Instagram or anything like that? Or
I am on Instagram under my name, Kathy Daywalt.
okay.
And Facebook. So.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, wonderful. Thank you so much for taking a little time out of your day.
My pleasure.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Thanks. Bye, Rachel.
Bye-bye.
Well.
It's all right. It happens all the time. Even my dad mispronounces it.